G'day everyone. Just want to do a quick clip about Bovaer10. So Bovaer10, and I think I'm pronouncing that right, Bovaer 10 is a food additive given to cattle, dairy and beef cattle. And the idea is that it reduces the methane in their stomach because they're ruminants. They process their food in a different way. They're the original cellulose eaters. And the idea is that it reduces the methane, so when they burp, they're not producing as much methane for those people that are super, super concerned about greenhouse gases. Now, there's been a lot of talk online about it, and I have to be honest, I probably don't want anything chemical going into my animals any more than anybody else. So there's a lot of companies that are coming forward and saying we're not feeding the food additive to our cows. We don't want to. We've looked into it. Certainly it's been approved as safe under the Australian government. But that being said, there's lots of things that get approved safe that you don't necessarily want to consume in your diet. So just to be realistic about things though, they're trying to do that to reduce about 4% of methane or greenhouse gases coming out of cows, because it's about 4% overall that cows produce. Cars or transport produce about 61%. So we're trying to beat down that 4%, but the 61%. And within that transport, so I found a figure that said 61% come from cars, but I think that's transport in general, because there's industry and people using electricity in their houses and things like that. So what you have to take into account though is 80% of the world's population don't fly. So the flight and drive emissions primarily are coming from people who A, can afford a car, B, who can afford to fly. The vast majority of the worldwide population don't necessarily have either of those things at their fingertips. But they do have cow meat, and we're somehow trying to target the 4% instead of the 60-something%. I don't know what's going on in the world, but I think if you are at all concerned about what's in your food, if you're at all concerned about additives or chemicals being put into your food supply, have a look online. Coles are promoting that they are selling beef with it. I think a few of the other supermarkets are. Luprep, which is a butter company, are saying that their cows are being fed the food additive. So what I would suggest to you is, if you're at all concerned about it, hunt around. There are lots of companies who are putting notices out saying we're not feeding this additive to our cows. If you're concerned, look for those companies. I know the farmer direct meat boxes, a lot of those companies, a lot of those farmers are not feeding that additive. And the reason they're not feeding the additive is because most of our cows are grass-fed. And if you've got grass-fed cattle and not grain-fed cattle, like feedlot cattle, then to start with, they don't have as much methane in the stomach because they're better at processing the grass. But there's no food to feed them. So why would you put additive into the grass? The grass is the best thing for them. It's their natural diet. It's far more natural for them to eat cellulose than it is for us. So most farmers are sticking with that. Anyway, hopefully that answers any questions that you might have about it. I know when it started coming out, I was like, what is this thing they're putting in the cow's food? But lots of dairies, lots of beef producers are saying we are not feeding the additive. Look for those ones if you're at all concerned about what's going into your food. And have a great day. See ya.